Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Danielle Morrison, and I am honored to join today as a Downey Wenjack Fund Artist Ambassador and host for this very important conversation. I am an ambassador with Downey Wenjack Fund. I'm a lawyer, a community advocate, and a mother, and I'm very honored to be hosting this conversation today. It's great to be here during Secret Path Week for this special DWF Live with the creators and voices behind Standing Above the Clouds. Standing Above the Clouds is a documentary that highlights the intergenerational stories of women in three Native Hawaiian families and their fight to protect the sacred mountain Mauna Kea. The film, yes, yes, I can hear you. The film follows community organizer Pua Case and her two daughters who have been called to stop the construction of the world's largest telescope that would destroy the sacred land. As they face opposition and arrest, they are joined by a community who have dedicated their lives to protecting Mauna Kea. Their lives quickly become consumed with frontline actions and court proceedings while being immersed in ceremonies and cultural practices. The film offers an intimate journey through the women's lives and bears witness into the physical and emotional toll of sustaining a grassroots movement. After 9 months of living on the mountain, blocking construction, and establishing a frontline camp, Standing Above the Clouds shows their journey to heal once they return to their homes. And today we have the pleasure of welcoming film director Jalena Keane-Lee and community organizer Pua Case, also known as Auntie Pua. Before we bring on today's speakers, I'm going to play the trailer of the documentary.
Mauna Kea is our actual ancestor. We are related to this mountain. We are taught to take care of this place.
The Department of Land and Natural Resources issued a notice to proceed for the 30-meter telescope.
It would be one of the largest moving structures ever constructed.
There's already 13 up on the summit. But this time, it was going to be the one too many, the one too big.
Hundreds have gathered at the base of Mauna Kea Access Road.
I want to know if we are in mid-prayer, will you just arrest us in mid-prayer? That's all. You're having to make plans with your own children on what happens if the police come. The women are going to remember forever, and so will we.
It is not about fighting something. It is about loving something.
A lot of things we do, it's like you don't really have a choice. If we don't do this, then like no one else might. So if it's our responsibility, it's our responsibility. Mauna Kea is an elder. And we take care of our land as we take care of our ohana, our family. How could we not stand for this?
We're going to jump right back into the questions. Let's go to Auntie Pua. For those unfamiliar with this story, can you explain the cultural and spiritual significance of Mauna Kea to the Native Hawaiian community and what drove you to action?
Aloha mai kākou o Pua Case ko uinoa o Mauna Kea ko Mauna. My name is Pua Case. I'm born and raised on the island of Hawaii known as Mokuokeawe. Mauna Kea is the mountain that has fed me, protected me, nurtured me, guided me, born and raised under the slopes of this mountain. So for us in Hawaii, especially the Kanaka Maoli, the native people of this place, the mountain is referred to in the film Standing Above the Clouds as our Genesis Moku. In our chants, it is the mountain that we are connected to in our lineage. It's referred to as a sacred mountain to us because the top of the mountain is the highest mountain in the world from the seafloor, which means the water is the highest water in the world. It's a fragile ecosystem. It's a mountain that is revered throughout not just Hawaii, but throughout the Pacific. It's tied to our navigation, our celestial learning, our ike kupuna, or the wisdom of our ancient ones. So when you do watch the film Standing Above the Clouds, it's literally about us standing beyond the cloud realm and standing for this mountain that we honor and hold dear. And what drove us to the action to protect Mauna Kea, which really then became a worldwide action and a worldwide movement to protect Mauna Kea, meant to then protect your own places as well in your own communities. But what drove us to action was a permit submitted by the University of Hawaii on behalf of 5 countries, China, Japan, India, Canada, and the United States, to build an 18-story telescope in a pristine area. There were, yes, already 13 up on the summit, but this one, as I said in the film, was going to be the one too big, the one too many, in an area over our water aquifer that was pristine. So let me just say that this is the time for our people, and really for all people, no matter who you are. This is the time to look around in your own territories and see where overdevelopment is going to be too detrimental for your environment and your people to withstand. And for Hawaii, we were drawing the line in the sand on this one. We were saying, not this time. If not for the sacred, then what were we going to stand for? And if not now, when? So in 2010, 6 of us entered into a contested case hearing, which means that we were contesting the approval of the permit. So from 2010 until today, we have protected the mountain from the start of construction of this telescope, which was supposed to be completed by today. It has unified the world in that when people look this way and saw that a small group, relatively small group of Native Hawaiians and our allies and our comrades and our friends said no and stood together, we could stand up to 5 countries and be successful. And I think in that, Mauna Kea became the beacon for everyone who was standing for something.
It's very powerful, and I hope that everyone has an opportunity to watch the film if they haven't already. I'm going to go to Jalena. Jalena, this documentary highlights the mothers and daughters fighting to protect the sacred mountain. What role does sisterhood and community support play in this story, and why do you think this is essential to highlight?
Thank you so much for asking that. Aloha kako. My name is Jalena Keane-Lee, and it's such a privilege and honor to be here with you all and to get to share this story. And we hope that everyone is able to watch the film. And even from just hearing Auntie Pua speak, I'm sure you can all recognize how powerful and incredible she is. And I think for me with the film, I just really wanted to be able to show the strength and determination of these wahine and or women, and the sisterhood was just so strong and so powerful. And throughout the film, we all learned and grew a lot together, and really learned that sisterhood and community are what keep us standing and keep us going, both through things that are front lines, like on Mauna Kea, facing off with police, and also through things that happen in our personal lives, that are really, really difficult, and both of which are seen in the film. And we also just want to acknowledge that these are 3 families of many families that stand to protect Mauna Kea. And the movement to protect Mauna Kea is one of many movements to protect sacred places all around the world. So we know that there are so many more stories out there, both from the movement to protect Mauna Kea and around the world, that are really important and deserve to be heard and told. And me and my team were really grateful to be able to work with Auntie Pua and her ohana and Mehana and Lena Ala and all the women in the film to bring this story to audiences around the world.
Jalena, if I may go off script a little bit, I love how you so endearingly refer to Pua as Auntie Pua. What's the significance behind calling someone your auntie?
I think for me, it's a term of respect, and also I feel like she is my auntie in all the ways. And I think another reason I wanted to make this film is, in real life, I know so many powerful aunties who really hold the world for us and are, making movements happen, are feeding us, are loving us, are really the backbone for our society. And in film and in things that we could, access through media, it didn't feel like that was being accurately represented. So I hope that the film can show, the power of Auntie Pua and also just the power of aunties in general.
That's
And
beautiful.
if you don't mind, I'd like to answer that as well for,
Absolutely.
especially for young people. I also feel very honored, especially in the movements that I've been a part of, which expand far beyond Hawaii. With Mauna Kea, you get called to go to front lines everywhere. They stand for you, you stand for them, they stand with you, you stand with them. And I've met a multitude of young people standing, whether it be at Standing Rock, whether it be against some oil company or just the return of your water or whatever the issue is. I've met so many young, brave protectors, and I myself, on the other hand, am honored to be called auntie by them. And I feel like throughout the world in this last 15 years that I have gained so many nieces and nephews, well beyond my own lineage. And I know the other leaders that I am in good company with feel the same. So when you use it in the movement, when you are standing for something and someone becomes that auntie for you because you are going to follow their lead, and we as those aunties or uncles see that occurring, we too, it's just as special for us as it is for the young ones calling us that.
Wow. I don't know why that made me so emotional. I think because, in my territory, like we hold matriarchs and aunties and kokums in such high regard. So I'm just very deeply touched by what you've shared today, both of you. Thank you. Auntie Pua, diving deeper into the movement, How did you mobilize the community to protect Mauna Kea? And what type of direct alliances were made to support these efforts?
How do you mobilize? I'm going to say, first of all, that this work is challenging. It's exhausting. It's all consuming, but I wouldn't have it really almost any other way. I wish I could find a few ways to make it easier, and I know that my girls will, because from my example, they're going to see maybe we'll do it better this way, maybe we'll adjust it that way. Maybe we won't have to work like our mom works till she's on her knees and then crawls to the next front line. You know, I want to say that this is hard work. Mobilizing is difficult. So, how did I personally do it for my part that I played in this? Because there are other leaders, there are many of us, there are thousands of us who are all contributing in whatever way we can. But for us living under Mauna Kea, I would say that some of the ways that we mobilized really were through social media. I remember in 2011, 2012, just going on Facebook because I didn't have Instagram then, and looking at who was doing good work everywhere. Who were other leaders? Who were other protectors? Who were just people that were standing for something? And I remember I would just reach out to them on private message and say, you don't know me, but I'm watching you and I'm supporting you and I'm praying for you, whether it was Oak Flat, whether it was the Winnemem Wintu, whether it was our relatives in far up so-called Canada fighting for their water. I didn't care who they were. I made contact because I knew it would build bridges and it would create alliances. And I said, even from this small little dot in the Pacific, someone is standing with you from here. So that was my beginning, mobilizing through social media with people beyond Hawaii. In Hawaii, we were sign waving. You have to remain, this is the number one, you have to remain visible every single day. When you're first starting, all the way through, if something is in threat, once you disappear, it's almost like permission for them to advance. So there has to be at least one organization, which for me is mine, Mauna Kea Education and Awareness, that says we will be in this every day. I will wear the Mauna every day. And I've done that for over 10 years. I will be visible on social media. I will be presenting everywhere that I can. I will sign wave as much as I can to just remind people, hey, we're still here. We are in schools. We are, look at us, we are creating films. We're creating music. We are writing books because for us, our mountain is still in threat from this telescope. And really, it's not about a telescope, you guys. It's about something too big that a Native people has the right to say no. We have the right to say no. We have the responsibility to say no. And in every way that we can, we will bring people together to do that. So those are just like every day we're doing something. And I think that's what mobilizing, what has to occur with mobilization is it has to happen, at least for some, every day. And for the rest, they need to just be aware when an action is occurring. They need to follow. They need to stay activated. They need to be involved. And when the calls for action come out, whether it be writing to legislators, whether it be submitting letters, signing petitions, wearing your Mauna every Wednesday on Mauna Kea Wear Wednesday, whatever it is, you have to follow the call to action because somebody is doing this every day, all day. And just making a call out to you when necessary. So stay activated. And for us, I say that there is no turning back for us. Once we stop the groundbreaking of the Earth for the initial building of this telescope, there was no turning back for us. And I know for protectors everywhere, no matter what age you are, when your family steps in and says there's no turning back for us, then really you have stepped in how far? Quarter, halfway, or all the way? So for us, we've stepped in all the way. And the way that we've been able to do it literally is through these friendships we've made, these relationships all throughout the continent, all throughout the world. I say my besties are my Facebook warrior sisters who are standing with me. Or for example, I just came back from New York from Indigenous Peoples Day. It's the 10th year that we've been involved with this. We make alliances in communities that are serious, and we make commitments and promises and pledges to hear from our relatives and hear the issues that they're facing, and the promise just to do whatever we can, even if it's just praying from afar, from supporting, from saying only positive things. All negativity does not touch anything that we do, because we're here to uplift one another, because we understand the work and the struggle and the challenge, and we love when there's a celebration that we all can take part in, when there's a victory. So only together can we keep doing this. Only together we keep rising as a mighty people. So I hope that answered the question, but in a few minutes, that's what I can summarize it to be. It's big work. It's really big work.
It really is. And I mean, I love your comment about, everyone has a role to play, because I think as, Indigenous people, we really struggle, I guess, with our professional roles in society, sort of like our everyday roles, like I'm a mother, I'm a lawyer. And so there's only so much that I can do, but I want to be on the front lines. And so I find that, native Facebook and all those connections that we have with our relatives are so important, because I can send that message to you and say, you're not alone. I know how isolating it can be when you feel really helpless and you want to help. So I'm really grateful for you drawing attention to all the Facebook warriors that are doing that good work. We got
And
lots of those people.
Instagram and Twitter and all of those things. It's so important. So what I do want to say there is, it's not a pressure to have to be on the front line or to be at everything. There are those of us who are committed to that. We have made that commitment. That's what we're here for. But to everyone else, it's really just about doing something consistently. It's not a one-time thing, and it's just about stepping in with no judgment from the rest of us. What can you contribute? Then can you do a little more? Because for most of you, this is your homeland we're talking about. This is your life ways we're talking about. Soon enough, there'll be no one that can just sit back and do nothing. So it's just about finding what it is that you have a gift or a talent. Can you draw something for the movement? Can you share all the followers that you have because you have a big account? Can you do your prayers for us? I think above all, if you look at any movement, what they're calling for above all else is prayer. Prayer. Can you sing for us? Can you pray for us on your own homeland, for us way over here? I mean, we all can do that. We all can do that.
Jalena, what are your hopes for the impact of this documentary and the ongoing fight to protect sacred places around the world?
Well, I'm hoping that we can help to protect Mauna Kea and that the funders of the telescope will pull their funding and the telescope will not be built on Mauna Kea. And we definitely believe that that is what's going to happen. And we also hope that it can raise awareness for movements to protect sacred places around the world and also highlight and give recognition to the women that are major players, if not leading many of those movements. What you're saying about all the different roles. And I think as women, sometimes there's like a lot of labor that we do that is kind of invisible. And in movement spaces, I think that's very true too. And so I hope that the film can, leave an archive for future generations and then also inspire more people to make films about things that are going on in their own homelands and highlighting the people that are doing the work that often does not get seen and does not get appreciated.
Yeah, lots of behind the scenes work, it sounds like too, hey? So I'm going to open the floor for a couple of last questions. So whoever would like to answer this is welcome to do so. What kind of messages of hope or guidance can you provide to those that are advocating for similar protections in Canada?
We understand that your struggle is different from ours. When we look at and make communication with those leaders, like, for example, the film that came up alongside ours, and I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. So if I'm not, Kalamai, excuse me. I think it's called Yinta.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to talk specifically about that film that I haven't seen yet, but I know that it's playing alongside our film in the Hawaii International Film Festival. Years ago, I reached out to those protectors when we first started standing for Mauna Kea, and they were one of those Facebook messages that I sent out. And I said, I see you all the way there. And Frida, I reached out to her because she was on the front line and I understood it. And I understand that the police are different there. I understand the way our front line works is not what we would expect if we were in some of the other territories where it's brutal, it's vicious. Most of the police are our relatives here. So we know no matter what, we're probably going to go home safe. So for them, I'm going to say we in nowhere make a comparison to what you are going through. But what we can say 100%, at least from our film to your film, from our people who are in the movement who welcomed you here when you came here, those of you from Canada, as well as every other place around the world, that we are uplifting you, that we are standing with you. We may not be able to physically be there with you, but there are things we do when you call on us. When you call me on the phone when the police are coming, which you have, and you say, Auntie, the police are coming, please pray for us, sing for us. And I say, I'll go to the high mountain and I'll pray for you. These are sacred alliances that we are making. So to all those out there, we don't know every movement that's happening. We don't know all the good work and the hard work because we only know from Hawaii what we can see, what we see on film, what we see on social media. There's many movements we don't know anything about. But we do know that we are not alone here. We know that thousands of people came to stand with us and thousands more followed every day, and it uplifted us and it got us to the next step. And we have still not allowed for construction. And we are up, if you want to say against, 5 countries. And if that can inspire you to stand stronger, if it can inspire you and uplift you, then that's what we're here for. And if you need us in some way that we are able to provide, then reach out Reach out to Protect Mauna Kea. We'll share your flyers. We'll share your good work. We'll share your information. We'll do what we can. Reach out to Mauna Kea Education and Awareness. If you want us to bring our film there to you, we'll do our best, because all of us are not alone. Social media has allowed us to be a mighty force, and none of us are alone.
I'm just so, again, deeply touched, and your words are extremely powerful. And I think those are words that young people especially need to hear when they're embarking on this type of work, because it is real work. It's hard work and it's hard work. I guess I have a follow-up question to that, because I know that this kind of work can be really daunting and it can take its toll. And so I wonder, like, how do both of you care for yourselves? Because this must be just years and years of, uh, toiling away and hammering this message and hoping that, your voices are heard. And I understand that that can be really challenging. So how do you take care of this?
Well, I think that's really where sisterhood comes into play, and really having, as Auntie Pua said and wrote a chant about, but kukulu, or pillars that really can hold you up and be that foundation. And I think the thing about strong women is that usually we're supported by a hui of strong women, or like a group of strong women, and we need to feel safe enough to not be okay sometimes. And I think you can see in the film that that's one of the kind of intergenerational healing pieces that really comes up, of Auntie Pua wanting her daughters to be able to, have some days off and be able to check in with themselves to make sure that they're okay. And I think it's a hope of many, many people that the current generation and new generations being born and coming up into movements can have a little bit more support. And the women of Auntie Pua's generation have really created those care networks for us that we know our current capitalist colonial society does not have, and that's been stripped away from us. So I think that's a really beautiful part of the movement work too. And then I also just wanted to talk about these shawls that we're both wearing really
Oh,
quickly,
yeah, they're
which these are
beautiful.
shawls. Thank you. This is part of, wearing the movement like Auntie Pua was talking about. And if you want to take over, Auntie Pua, but I know that you have gifted these to leaders around the world and to people around the world. And sometimes if you're feeling like, you might not be feeling that hopeful, or it's been something that's really hard, which happens to all of us. You can wrap your shawl around you and feel that extra sense of, protection and hope.
So I do want to follow up by saying something to the men and women of my generation and the generations above me. Is we come from a time, I believe, so I'm going to switch to speaking for myself, but in tribute to them, where when we made a commitment, because we had to, there are so few of us standing for something. In a community, you might have a handful of elders and protectors, warriors who come out for something. Yeah. And the duration of that takes a toll. And we make a commitment to go till we drop. We really do. We put, and we're mostly poor. We work, all the jobs, and then we take this on, and then we just say, this is going to be what we do until we leave this earth. And there are days, there are years where we fall, and we have to really pick ourselves back up, because this is the agreement that we made with our ancestors, with ourselves, with our descendants, within our lineage, that we weren't going to let them take that, or we were going to stand for this. And in Hawaii, there have been many of us who, and before me, who have stood so that these young ones can inherit not just struggles, but achievements that we've made possible. But in standing above the clouds and just in our lives, I have really taught my girls, and I'm saying this to every young person, you don't have to do that anymore. You have permission not to do something 24/7 till you drop just to prove something or just to save something, because the days, I hope, when there were just a few in isolated territories, I hope are over. I hope through social media we have enough leverage, we have enough followers, we have enough people that we feel held and supported. So young people, including my daughters, and you'll see them say this in the film, they've watched me and they can't believe I don't ever have a day off. And I'm standing in a manner that I have surrendered to, that I've committed to do this every day. But for the young people, you don't have to do that. You shouldn't have to. Life shouldn't be that. You should be taking care of your health, forming healthy relationships. Health, number one, because if you don't have your health, you can't stand in the way that we stand. We just hang on day to day. We just do this work. And really, we love it. It's our passion, it's our connection. We're not complaining. We are not complaining. This is what the creator said. Pua, you're going to do this, but your daughters don't have to do it in the same way. So if I can say anything to the young people, be involved. Yes, because you have to. This is your earth. This is your life ways. This is your lineage. So be involved, but it doesn't have to consume you until you're ill in any way, mentally, emotionally, physically. Have your sisterhood and your brotherhood, because for the men, we are seeing men return to the place that they should be holding, and I hold that in high honor when I see our young boys and our men take their places alongside us, with us, so we can all do this together. Don't have to do everything. Do something, but keep doing something, and do a little more when you can. And these shawls are for both men and women, so that we could say, wear your ceremony wherever you go, in the store. It's not your regalia that you have from your own people. This is our ceremony. We are a society that says we kukia'i mauna, we stand as protectors, strong as mountains, unshakable. So we wear what we need to be, and we carry the heart of the mountain within us, so we stand in a new way. We are not standing here in Hawaii in anger, rage, depression. We've done that already. And most of the time, we end up being hurt in some way. This time, we don't need to do that. As I said, we are a mighty force, and we are standing in a good way. Heart forward, ancestors forward, and there's no going back for us. So young people, do what you can, but stay healthy in doing what you can.
I was reminded when you were talking about, all of this foundational work that your generation has done. My dad was a residential school survivor. He passed away in 2012. And I think about when I'm doing the work that I do today, how much he had to work hard at relearning his language and revitalizing our culture. And with everything that you've done for your children and the next generation, I mean, we really are standing on the shoulders of giants. And I think that's what, I see a lot of parallels between, standing on the shoulders of giants and standing above the clouds. Like, the work that you've done has really uplifted young people. And I really hope that they're able to take that message today and do the work that they feel is necessary, feel inspired. And then just to be really grateful. I'm listening to you, and I feel so much gratitude for the work that you've done. So thank you. I have one last question for today. which is central to the work of the Gord Downey and Cheney Wenjack Fund, is encouraging people to take reconciliation action, which are meaningful actions that move reconciliation forward. What can people outside of Hawaii do to support the movement to protect Mauna Kea or other sacred sites globally?
So, of course, I'm going to start here by saying you can do something just really immediately that would really help us. And in turn, we will do the same for you. But we have a petition that we are shy of 5,000 signatures to get to 500,000 signatures. And this petition was written years ago, really, by a 14-year-old then from the United Kingdom who was standing with us from there, from Europe, and wrote a petition to stop all construction on Mauna Kea, no TMT, no 30-meter telescope. And that petition has been going for a number of years now, and we're very close to 500,000. And I'll tell you why that number is so important. And so it's a vital action. It's not just signing your name, a petition. These petitions are powerful tools for us to utilize. In the newspapers, we've always been described, no matter how many thousands of people have shown up for us, that we are some Hawaiians and our allies. Year after year, that's how we're described. And wouldn't it be great if we could say we are more than 500,000 Hawaiians and our allies come not just from Hawaii and the continents, but they come from around the world. And so we'd like to use that petition for future hearings, for actions. So not just sign it. When somebody tells you sign something, that's just the first step. Sign it and then share it. And then say, hey, this is really vital for this lahui, this nation of people, to get to this 500,000 mark so that we can utilize it. So I would say immediately, that would be a first request from us. And then really just follow us, protect Mauna Kea, and not just follow us, but really provide us information if you're standing for something so that we can form an alliance with you or strengthen the alliance that we already have with you. We really, truly understand the struggle. We understand the challenge. It's not just for a week or a month. It can go on for years and years and lifetimes. And don't we want to have more celebration than we do challenge? So let's do that together. So that's my ask for today. And then Jalena, if you have an ask as well.
No, I think you did a great job, Auntie. I think anyone who hasn't, if you could watch the film, that would be really great. And our film page is Standing Above the Clouds on Instagram. And you can also follow Auntie Pua. She's Pua Case. And
Mauna Kea Education Awareness website. There are lessons for Mauna Kea right now. If you're going to watch the film, we're creating lessons that will go specifically with the film, but a link that you can go to right now for lessons if you watch the film on Mauna Kea is vaihona.net, which is WAIHONA, vaihona.net, which will have some lessons for you, because I was a teacher for 20 years. I understand that when you watch a film, you need something after to follow up with and to deepen the students' understanding. And I do just want to pay tribute to your homeland by saying, if you haven't seen this book, it's called Because This Land Is Who We Are. And Mauna Kea is featured in this book that was coordinated with Chantel Richmond, who's an associate professor in the Department of Geography at Western University in London, Ontario. This book contains a lot about Mauna Kea, because we formed an alliance with them. So I just want to pay tribute to your homeland as much as I can today to say there are indeed many alliances between us already. The tiny house warriors, you know, those who are standing, warriors everywhere. We know you, we support you, and we have a huge aloha for you folks, and we stand with you.
And thank you so much for moderating this conversation. And thank you for having us and allowing us to share about Mauna Kea and the film. It's been such a privilege and an honor to talk with you all.
It is my absolute privilege and honor as well. And just as a reminder to everyone, there is a very easy call to action that we've heard here today. So sign the petition and share it. If you have, say, even 100 followers, that's 100 extra signatures that could sign on. So they're 5,000 signatures away from 500,000. That is tremendous. I sincerely commend you on all of the important work that you've done. Thank you, Jalena and Auntie Pua, and to everyone that tuned in today. You can head to downeywenjack.ca, DWF Live, for a list of our upcoming sessions and to look back at the past sessions as well. We're going to close off this amazing live session. I hope everyone gets a chance to watch the film. It is so tremendous. I want to say Chamigwech, and everyone have a wonderful day.